In this last video lecture, we're going to cover other disorders of the endocrine system, including such things as obesity, how we code BMI, and other topics. On the opposite end of obesity, we have malnutrition. Malnutrition is caused by inadequate diet, digestive problems, or medical conditions, and this can range from either mild to severe. Kwashi or core, a word I like saying, or marmoset are severe forms. The documentation must specify the type and degree of malnutrition. We can have other nutritional deficiencies. These include vitamin A, vitamin B, vitamin D, vitamin K, or minerals like calcium, zinc, iron, and magnesium. The codes indicate the conditions as the cause of a sequela. You'll see some code first notes that are important to pick up in the tabular for these codes. Now we get into the opposite of malnutrition. We're talking about overweight, obesity, and other hyperalimentation. If a person's, these conditions mean that somebody it weighs too much. In other words, their weight is greater than what's considered healthy for their height. And this is calculated by BMI. BMI, or body mass index, is calculated by the weight in kilograms divided by height in meters squared. And the BMIs range. Underweight is under 18.5, normal is 18.5 through 24.9, overweight is 25.0 through 29.9, obese is greater than 30, greater or equal than 30, excuse me. And the coding guidelines require documentation of BMI and additional codes for pregnancy and postpartum. Obesity means excess body fat. And when we're overweight, we have that excess body fat. BMI is used for screening. You'll see some code first notes if the patient is pregnant, postpartum, and other additional codes to identify the BMI. Volume depletion includes such things as dehydration, which falls into code E86.0, and hypovolemia, E86.1. These causes can include vomiting, heat, diarrhea, or lack of intake. Hypovolemia may also result from bleeding or fluid loss and cause hypovolemic shock. Then our last slide in the metabolic disorders are things like cystic fibrosis. Cystic fibrosis is an inherited disease affecting the exocrine glands, GI, and respiratory systems. The complications include chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, pancreatic insufficiency, and high sweat electrolytes. The degree of pulmonary involvement determines the disease course, and you'll see some specific instructions for these conditions in the tabular. And that's all I have for you. Please reach out if you have any questions about this material. We'll see you online. Bye now.